My name is Blythe Hill, and it is such an honor and a privilege to be with you here this morning. It should come as no surprise to any of you to hear that slavery exists in every city in the world today, around every major sporting event, at brickyards, brothels, massage parlors, and many other places. According to the US State Department, 600 to 800,000 people are trafficked across international borders every year. And within Los Angeles, immigration agents estimate that 10,000 women are being held in underground brothels. And that number does not include the thousands more in domestic work, like sweatshops and other informal industries and prostitution. More than 50% of today's slaves are children, and more than 70% are women and girls. Human trafficking reportedly generates more than $32 billion each year. That's more than Nike, more than eBay, more than Yahoo, more than McDonald's. Girls around the world are being bought and sold like products. And when I first started hearing about this years ago, it started a fire inside me. You see, when I was a little girl, I was molested. And for years, I carried the weight of guilt and shame and these questions. Am I disposable? Do I matter? Can someone love me? For anyone who hasn't experienced any form of sexual abuse, it does seem counterintuitive that someone who has would carry a sense of responsibility for what happened to them. But for anyone who has experienced it, you know this is exactly what happens. And it took years for me to heal and forgive and move forward. But to this day, when I hear of what's happening to girls in our world, the fire inside me grows, and I have felt an urgency to do something about this. So naturally, I looked at my own unique skill set and my talents for a way to engage in this issue, and that's where for years I kept hitting a wall, because my interests don't seem to line up with making a difference. I'm not a social worker, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a cop. What I am is someone who's interested in fashion and wordplay, trend analysis, and writing. And for years, I felt powerless because I felt like my unique talents and interests do not line up in the grand scheme of things. They're inconsequential. And so for years, I felt like there's nothing I can do about this. But in 2009, everything started to change, and I didn't even know it at the time. I was bored, and I decided to try a personal style challenge. I decided to try wearing a dress every day for a month. And the next full month was December, and I thought of the name Dressember. And since I love wordplay, that pretty much sealed the deal. And so I did it. I wore a dress every day for a month, and I never planned to do it again. Not that it wasn't fun, it was fun. I just never thought it would be an annual thing until the next year, a group of my girlfriends approached me and wanted to do it with me. And so I said, sure, we'll do it. So I did it again with them. And then the next year, my girlfriends' approached them and wanted to participate in Dressember. And so by that third year, when women I didn't even know were wanting to participate in this silly idea that I had, I realized, okay, people aren't just humoring me. This is a good idea. People like this. And I started to dream about what more it could be. And I saw what the Movember campaign was doing, raising millions of dollars for prostate cancer research through men growing mustaches in the month of November. And I thought, maybe I can use Dressember to raise some money for anti-trafficking organizations. So in 2013, in its 5th year, I aligned Dressember with International Justice Mission, which is a human rights organization that works globally to rescue victims of slavery and violent oppression. And I decided we're gonna go big, we're gonna aim high, we're gonna try to raise $25,000, which felt like a big, huge, scary goal. And then we hit my big, huge, scary goal on the 3rd day of the campaign. And I realized that something that started as a few girls in LA wearing dresses for fun became a community of over 1,200 women in 32 countries who collectively raised over $165,000 in 31 days. Yeah. Pretty amazing. And last year, in our second year, we doubled our participation at over 2,600 women registered, and we nearly tripled the funds we raised at over $463,000. Yeah, pretty cool. So I've realized that something that started as this silly idea, literally born out of boredom, has become a global movement. And through all this, I've realized the power of an idea and what God can do with an idea and willingness. I want to tell you a story. Last August, I was able to join IJM on one of their trips to visit one of their field offices in Guatemala City. And so they focus on a different issue in each of their field offices. And in Guatemala City, they focus on issues of child sexual assault. So these are horrific cases where children have been raped or abused by a neighbor or a stranger or mom's boyfriend, or in more cases than we can understand, their own father, grandfather, uncle, brother, cousin. And every few months, they do something really cool in this office. They gather the children together who have recently testified in court against their abuser, and they honor their bravery in something called a hero ceremony. And when I visited their office, it lined up with one of their hero ceremonies, and I got to participate in one of these ceremonies. And so they told us a bit about the structure of the day. They told us that there would be about 24 kids, and we would call them up by name and pin a little pin on them that says, "I am a hero," in Spanish. And so they told us the structure of the day, but honestly, nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I walked in that room. There were about 30 kids, and most of them didn't look any older than 10. Some looked as young as 5. There was a 12-year-old girl who had a 2-month-old baby. And I found out she didn't know who the father of her child was, because within a few weeks' time, she had been raped by a neighbor and by her father and by her grandfather. So I stood in the back of our group trying to hold it together because I felt so heavy hearing their stories and knowing what they had gone through. But then when I actually looked around and when I looked these kids in the eyes and hugged them, and when we celebrated their courage in giving testimony, often in the face of violent threats, what filled the room was not a sense of despair or tragedy. What filled the room was a sense of hope and triumph. That because of IJM, these kids have the rare opportunity of seeing their abuser face consequences. And I saw that their stories are continuing and they bend toward redemption. So back to the power of an idea. I think ideas are really interesting. You probably have a lot of ideas, most of which you write off as impossible or silly. And truly, a lot of ideas are bad. I have a lot of bad ideas. But some ideas that seem silly turn out to be really good ideas. I think it's human nature to look any huge injustice in the face and feel totally incompetent and think, there's absolutely nothing I can do about this. I am not enough. I do not have enough. I felt that way. I still feel that way. But I have seen what I thought was a silly idea allow me an opportunity to create a community of like-minded people who together are helping create real change. I've seen my idea outgrow me to the point that I am running to keep up with the size of it. There's another story I want to share with you. About a month ago, I was able to witness the power of participation when I got to visit a group of junior high students who participated in Dressumber this year. Los Angeles Christian School is an inner city charter school founded by World Impact, and I was invited to visit the school and meet some of the students after a few boys and girls participated in Dressember. The girls wore dresses and the boys wore bow ties, and together they raised over $800. I didn't really know what to expect. I just knew that I was going to be joining in their weekly assembly. And I was sitting there, and 3 girls went to the front of the room and shared what the Dressember project meant to them. And you know what they said? They said, we should be the voice for those who don't have a voice. And they said, we're grateful for the chance to stand up for girls just like us who are waiting for a rescuer. And they said, we're grateful to be a part of a generation that can do something to stop this. There's another story, there's a letter I want to read to you. It was an email that came in from a participant after last Dressember. Dear Blythe, I just wanted to thank you. I participated in Dressember for the first time on Team Dresses for the Daughters, and we became more aware of the injustices going on in the world while bonding over wearing dresses. I knew God was doing something in my heart, but I wasn't quite sure what. I didn't want Dressember just to be something I do in December. I've been praying about carrying it on all year in my heart. Right after Dressember, I was invited to go to Costa Rica to visit our team doing outreach there, and I witnessed men buying girls, women being exploited and abused, transvestite prostitution, and other horrors. My mind is still reeling, to be honest. I want to thank you because you had an idea, a simple, fun idea that caught fire and is changing the world. I want to thank you because not only are you raising money and changing lives through IJM, but you are also impacting the lives of those wearing the dresses, and you might not even know it. This is why I'm writing, to let you know that I will never be the same after Dressember. God did something in my heart, and it has changed me. I am only one of the many that has been impacted forever through Dressember, and I felt compelled to share. So truly, it's bigger than a dress. I can't tell you what an incredible and humbling experience it is to have prayed for years for a way into this issue and to have felt like I have absolutely nothing to contribute, and then to see God connect the dots in my life and create a path for not only me, but thousands of other people who feel just like me and who have been ready to do something about this, who may not have money or power or influence, but they can choose what they wear each day, and more importantly, come together in solidarity and collaborate for the kingdom work of God. And I think Dressember has been a success in large part because of its collaborative spirit. Through Dressember as a whole, I've seen the power of collaboration, and I've seen what happens when we draw connections between our interests and our passions and invite others into that journey. And I think this is an example of a collaborative role that God is inviting us into with his kingdom work. So I want to invite you to ask yourself, what are you interested in and what are you passionate about? Because maybe those things don't seem to be very similar, but I think you'd be blown away what God can do. You like cooking and you're passionate about immigration reform. You like singing and you're passionate about elder abuse. You like writing and you're passionate about foster kids. You like basketball and you're passionate about illiteracy. You like making jewelry and you're passionate about homelessness. I don't know what God can do with those seemingly dissimilar passions, but I know that I like dresses and words, and I'm passionate about restoring dignity to women. For years, I thought I had to choose between my unique interests and my passion for people, but it wasn't a matter of choice. You don't have to choose. For me, it was a collision of a silly idea with a little bit of courage that led to a worldwide movement. And who knows what silly, world-changing ideas might come from this room. After all, someone else's future might depend on your silly idea. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this message. Biola University offers a variety of biblically centered degree programs, ranging from business to ministry to the arts and sciences. Learn more at biola.edu.